So Astinus is so interesting because Astinus represents the Wikipedia. It's a perfect name for the Wikipedia. So when Caramon, which should be my brother, asks Crysania, this would be Pompey. Um, yeah, he says, "Now wait just a minute, lady," Caramon said softly, rising and coming to her. You're not really considering going. Who is this Astinus anyway? And how do you plan to get through the grove without a charm? It's really sad how she was likely hacked and probably surrounded by layers of people trying to get her to sue me or somebody else because of the racist people that were doing it to me before. It's very, very obvious that a hacker was on my computer and I was using Pirate Bay. It was really dumb, and it makes a lot more sense now why when I make a complaint and stuff like that, it was completely ignored, and the abusive treatment on Facebook. Somebody was on my computer and was totally a jerk, thinking, that he was justified for some reason. He wasn't, and he kept trying to create a justification for the ridiculously evil things he was doing to me. It's very evil. Anyways, he records all history as it passes. He records all history as it passes. He knows everything that has happened in the past and is happening in the present. Now she's talking about Astinus. That's a perfect name. As crossing in us. That's like with the Wikipedia. He's a guy that lives in the Great Library of Palanthas, which would represent like Seattle area. And the Great Library is like the Wikipedia, and he would represent the people always updating it. He never dies. His age is always there, and he's just always doing that. So like for people into live action role playing or whatever, this is definitely the most interesting, wow, amazing coincidences in story. It's pretty amazing, pretty cool. Anyways, very grateful for our culture and what all the gifts that they have for us. I'm now looking into Shadowrun. My dad is John, so I would be a Johnson, and his dad was John, so he would be a Johnson. So that's pretty cool. And for everybody else, there's Winnie the Pooh, because it's important to wake up to that. Where were you located when you were having the worst ideas or whatever? What do I think about Trump capture? What does that mean? What's Trump capture? Anyways, greetings. He records all history as it passes. He knows everything that has happened in the past and is happening in the present. But Crysania glanced at Raistlin with a worried look. He cannot see into the future, so I'm not certain what help he can be to us. She's talking about Astinus, the Wikipedia. Caramon, still dubious. I'm looking for a home. But if you go to my website, you'll see that I've been having some problems it started in 2012, but it's kind of become other people. I don't know. But I should get a lot more questions answered tomorrow. But I'm looking for a place. I haven't been You'll see if you go to my website. It's pretty upsetting. I have to, I mean, because I've been focusing on the writing letters and the FBI police thing, so that I get the people, I'd be safer and off me and stuff. And so now it's just suing, because what happened to me was pretty serious. What happened to her was pretty serious too. Those people are seriously dumb for thinking there's not gonna be any consequences for hacking us, and always trying to stay one step ahead. You're not justified there. I don't care how, the Democratic, the Republican, no party is going to accept that. And I'm going to be there on the left side, where he's like, oh my God, no. Because they need to know what they were doing to me, where their funds were actually going. They need to know. Anyways, so, yeah, I need to find a home. I'm looking for one right now. I was just on Craigslist, and I mean, I'm sharing on my website what happened to me. Pretty evil. Anyways, so all records. Okay, so what was I talking about? So Caramon. It's funny. So I always thought Caramon was Carmen, but it's actually Care Amen. And that's funny because my brother happens to be a Republican. So still dubious, and obviously not believing half of this wild tale, had argued long against her going. Crysania only grew more determined, until finally, even Caramon realized they had no choice. Raistlin grew worse instead of better. I am in the Portland area. I'm looking for a place to rent right now, so if you know anybody. I've been having a problem with people trying to mess me up since I'm going to court. It's pretty messed up what I've been a victim of. It definitely needs to stop. Yeah, Pirate Bay was a big mistake. I really regret doing that. Actually, just using anything free is a mistake. Raistlin grew worse instead of better. Unless it's like something, I mean, when it's something like they're supposed to pay you, I understand that, because you're like working for it. I want to make something like that. That'd be really cool. Anyways, so Raistlin grew worse instead of better. His skin burned with fever. He lapsed into periods of incoherence, and when he was himself, angrily demanded to know why Crysania hadn't been to see Astinus yet. So she had braved the terrors of the grove and the equally appalling terrors of the streets of Palanthas. So the grove has represented the truth because it's called the Show I Can Grove. And so Kurt Cobain would be like the guy who impaled himself on the fence. Where we go to sleep and stuff. In our subconscious minds. Raistlin grew worse instead of better. His skin... Wait, what was I saying? Caramon, still dubious. My website is tweeting20s.com. You'll see how celebrities and stuff like that are getting ready to help me, which is pretty cool. It's pretty exciting. Like all the most respected folks and stuff, where I check. But I mean, people know what I'd like. They know you kind of plan ahead of time. But wherever I check, they're like, you know, getting ready for me to get things going. That's pretty cool. But I've been caught in the middle of this stupid court situation. And I need to be able to connect with people without getting blocked. Raistlin grew worse instead of better. His skin burned with fever. He lapsed into periods of incoherence, and when he was himself, angrily demanded to know why Crysania hadn't been. Why Crysania hadn't been to see Astinus yet. Would that represent the language of Adam? Right there? That's weird. That's my other channel. People are probably like, what are you talking about? It's crazy. So she had betrayed, or so she had braved the terrors of the grove. So I'm trying something new. It's never been done before. I'm trying something new. I'm measuring synchronicity and just adding to everything. And it's like really, really interesting. While trying to understand the human brain and trying to understand the subconscious mind. It's a very interesting experiment. But I mean, if you see my other channels, it's definitely, wow, that's actually real. It's definitely weird. It's pretty cool. But yeah, once you come to a conclusion, you're crazy. So don't do that. Just stay wondering. So hello, people. What do you people think about makeup? It's probably not good for me to do that, huh? That wrestling character doesn't do it. He looks like he has makeup on though. But like, do you think I should do like more of a wrestling look? That'd be cool. Okay, so what was I saying? So Raistlin grew worse instead of better. His skin burned with fever. He lapsed into periods of incoherence. I've been kind of sick right now because I'm getting off Suboxone. He lapsed into periods of incoherence, and when he was himself, angrily demanded to know why Crysania hadn't been to see Astinus yet. That like reminding me that she was blocked and surrounded with layers of excuses, thinking other people could be blamed for it. Here's that way. So she braved the terrors of the grove. That would mean surviving. That would mean getting over becoming famous. Or, oh my god, a bunch of people know about me now. Oh my god, I'm so much more famous than I knew. And so she braved the terrors of the grove and the equally appalling terrors of the streets of Palanthas. And now she knelt beside the mage's bed, her heart aching as she watched him struggle to sit up. With his brother's help, his glittering gaze fixed eagerly upon her. Then that's like suggesting to me that he messages her right now and says, hey, this stuff is pretty cool. How the hell is it possible? It's trying to help us. Surprising that it actually goes there. It's really cool. Tell me everything, he ordered hoarsely. Um, hoarsely. Exactly as it occurred. Leave out nothing. Nodding wordlessly, still shaken by the terrifying walk through the tower. Crysania tried to force herself to calm down and sort out her thoughts. So, let's see, what do they mean right there? Nodding wordlessly, still shaken by the terrifying walk through the tower. That's like, um, um, that's like saying, I hate drugs, I'm over them, they're dangerous. Because the tower has been, it especially fits with, because of legendary Pink Dot songs have associated like the tower, the power powder. It's funny. So they have the towers of high sorcery here. So in my so they like did all these things to warn us as kids and stuff not to do drugs. And then it was found also in this fantasy literature. It's pretty cool. So nodding wordlessly, still shaken by the terrifying walks through the tower, Crysania tried to force herself to calm down and sort out her thoughts. Oh no, she did it. Oh no. Hopefully she doesn't die anything. That's terrifying. She did Ativan, huh? That would be terrifying. Hopefully she got off of it. Crysania tried to force herself to calm down and sort out her thoughts. They did that to me too. It made me so much worse. Definitely horrible stuff. It's one of the scariest. It's one of the scariest drugs, Ativan. Seriously, it's like comparable to heroin or something. I think because you don't even notice it really, but once you start doing it, it's like it really messes you up. Anyways, so I went to the great library and asked to see Astinus, she began, nervously smoothing the folds of the plane. White robe, Caramon. That's funny. That's like saying, the public's going to know everything. I have to choose just one person. She began nervously soothing the folds of the plain white robe Caramon had brought her to replace the blood-stained gown she had worn. Whoa. The aesthetics refused to admit me, but then I showed them the medallion of Paladine. Huh? So somebody was trying to refuse her something, and she was like, but I have the rights, and I can go next to find somebody else to go dine with. And that made a blood-stained gown. That makes a lot of sense. Crazy. Ouch. Hopefully that hasn't happened. I mean, it seems like we're always like participating in creating other people's dreams and giving them helpful advice so that they'll wake up and not do things that are bad, or maybe they will wake up and do things that they know what to do. I don't know. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know what to say about that right now, but not the bonus subject, right? That threw them into confusion, as you might well imagine. She smiled. It has been 100 years since any sign of the old gods had come. So finally, one hurried off to report to Astinus. Okay, so what does this say? Add a Q&A. Oh, I wanted to click on that. This is pretty cool way of doing things. I've never really streamed on here before. After waiting for some time, I was taken to the chamber where he sits all day long and many times far into the night, recording the history of the world. Wait, let me say this, read this again. So that threw them into confusion, as you might well imagine, she smiled. It has been 100 years since any sign of the old gods has come. So finally, one hurried off to report to Astinus. You know, it's messed up how the Wikipedia changed when I came across the letter I. They should change it back to what it was. It was a feather. It's not. It shouldn't be somebody trying to come up with a justified excuse to block me and loot everything and try to take my work away from me. No, that's not going to work. I have rights that protect me. You know, it could be coming from somewhere outside this country. I haven't even done anything. You know, it feels like people have been hoping that I do something like that and trying to push me into it. And go, oh look, I just need an excuse to be able to use to do something bad to you. Will you do something bad? It's definitely felt like that. But after waiting for some time, I was taken to his chamber, where he sits all day long, and many times far into the night, recording the history of the world. But I'm not saying that's something that I'm not going to dwell upon anything negative that's happened. But Crysania paused, suddenly frightened at the intensity of Raistlin's gaze. It seemed he would snatch the words from her heart if he could. Snatch the words from her heart? Is that like saying that there's somebody that wrote me on here? I should pay attention more to? Okay, what did I just say? After waiting for some time, I was taken to his chamber, where he sits all day long and many times far into the night, recording the history of the world. Crysania paused, suddenly frightened at the intensity of Raistlin's gaze. It seemed he would snatch the words from her heart, if he could. The first time I read this book, when I first came across Astinus and everything, when I remember I was a child, and it just seems like the feeling I got was so mysterious, and it was a really cool setting, and there was wood everywhere. There was wood everywhere. I was like, where I was reading, there was wood, because we just barely moved into our place, and there wasn't any furniture yet, and the floors were wood, and everything was wood. I'm thankful for all the colors and everything. I use my memory, my brain and stuff. Hopefully it's correct. I've had dreams of that place. It's weird though. future wife being there, and our son got into trouble in school, and we took him to a spot. It was like the most bad spot in the house to think, and woke him up to what he probably did that was bad. She was wearing a Soundgarden shirt that was so gigantic you couldn't really see her. You couldn't really tell if she had underwear. Anyways, and it was at that house. That's really cool. I mean, someday I'd like to go. I mean, what I'm trying to do is teach people to do this fallen fruit thing. You try to find your largest echo, bring him to the square, and then take him up the hill. And it's basically retracing your family tree and going to trying to send the best, most positive echoes to where you previously lived, and then doing it to your previous lives. Coming up with A-rated storytelling or whatever, and waking people up to the dangerous origins of thought. Hello. Yeah. I don't know your language. Okay. So, what am I saying? I went to the Great Library and asked to see Astinus. It's like saying, I'm going to the internet and I'm looking up Wikipedia. She began, nervously soothing the folds of the plain, white robe Caramon had brought her to replace the bloodstained gown she had worn. Oh, sorry. That aesthetics refused to admit me, but then I showed them the medallion of Paladine. That threw them into confusion. As you might well imagine, she smiled. It has been 100 years since any sign of the old gods has come. So finally, one hurried off to report to Astinus. After waiting for some time, I was taken to his chamber, where he sits all day long, and many times far into the night, recording the history of the world. Crysania paused, suddenly frightened at the intensity of Raistlin's gaze. It seemed he would snatch the words from her heart if he could. Looking away for a moment to compose herself, she continued, her own gaze now on the fire. I entered the room, and he just sat there, writing, ignoring me. Then the aesthetic who was with me announced my name. Crysania of the house of Tarinius. Tarinius? The hell? That's not good. I definitely don't want that girl ever doing that. I really don't see that happening. As he told me to tell him, especially with my history, she'd be a lot less likely to ever try it. And then she stopped, frowning slightly. Raistlin stirred. What? Astinus looked up then. Crysania said in a puzzled tone, turning to face Raistlin. He actually ceased writing and laid his pen down. And he said, "You," in such a thundering voice that I was startled, and the aesthetic with me nearly fainted. But before I could say anything or ask what he meant or how he knew me, he picked up his pen and, going to the words he had just written, crossed them out. Cross them out? Raistlin repeated thoughtfully, his eyes dark and abstracted. Cross them out, he murmured, sinking back down onto his pallet. That's reminding me of when I was coming across the letter I on the Wikipedia, and they changed it to an origin of the letter I that looked more like somebody injecting something. And so that's not a reason to call upon the dragons of whatever, the good gods or whatever, to force somebody into something that she wouldn't have done if she knew everything. Anyways, before I could say anything or ask what he meant or even how he knew me, he picked up his pen and, going to the words so he had just written, crossed them out. Wow. Seeing Raistlin absorbed in his thoughts, Crysania kept silent until he looked up at her again. What did he do then? The mage asked weakly. I need to ask every week. And I'll ask her what she's doing every day. He wrote something down over the place where he had made the air, if that's what it was. That is so messed up to do to somebody. Then he raised his gaze to mine again, and I thought he was going to be angry. So did the aesthetic, for I could feel him shaking. But Astinus was quite calm. He dismissed the aesthetic and bade me sit down. Then he asked why I had come. I told him we were seeking the portal. That means I have the right to share. I added, as you instructed, that we had received information that led us to believe it was located in the Tower of High Sorcery at Palanthas, but that upon investigation, we had discovered our information was wrong. That's right. I am not a junkie. I am not on drugs. The portal was not there. He nodded, as if this did not surprise him. The portal was moved when the king priest attempted to take over the tower. When the king priest attempted to take over the tower. Huh? He nodded as if it did not surprise him. Wait, hold on. The portal was not there. He nodded as if this did not surprise him. The portal was moved when the king priest attempted to take over the tower. For safety's sake, of course. He felt threatened by what? In time, it may return to the Tower of High Sorcery at Palanthas. But it is not there now. You know, it is possible to say, I'm sorry. I've made a mistake. That was wrong of me to do. Or thank you. Coming across you was tremendously helpful. In fact, I've been able to do so many things thanks to you. I really owe you something. Where is it then? I asked. I asked. What the hell? Who's I? Hold on. Who's I? I asked. It suddenly changed everything. Where's what? Well, for long moments, he did not answer me, and then here Crysania faltered and glanced over at Caramon fearfully, as if warning him to brace himself. What? Here Crysania faltered and glanced over at Caramon fearfully, as if warning him to brace himself? Seeing her look, Raistlin pushed himself up on the pallet. Tell me, he demanded harshly. Crysania drew a deep breath. She would have looked away. Why would Washington be in trouble? But Raistlin caught hold of her wrist, and despite his weakness, held her so firmly. That's what my girlfriend accused me of, as when she made up that I was a stalker. She had to make up a lie. She was trying to get money from her mom, but there was also another reason she was doing it, so I wouldn't, because of Yoshimi or whatever, Battle Pink Robots. But I mean, I think she was trying to cut off my ex-lover too. But anyway, she had to make up a lie. She grabbed my wrist, and so she said that I grabbed her wrist in a health food store around people. Because, that would make me look like a very good person still, because she didn't know, she was supposed to make up a lie. So I had to be like the most innocent looking violent thing. He grabbed my wrist in a health food store around people. It's pretty funny. Raistlin drew a deep breath. She would have looked away, but Raistlin caught hold of her wrist, and despite his weakness, held her so firmly she found she could not break free of his death-like grip. And so this is saying that my ex-girlfriend endangered her life because of calling me a stalker. Wow. Why would it say that? He said such information would cost you. Is it because she was used as bait, as people were trying to use us and pretty much take Amber Entertainment away from me or whatever? When I shared its value on Facebook, it was stolen from me immediately after that. Back in, when was that? 2014. How sad. I'm gonna start getting a lot more help. Starting tomorrow. Starting now. I mean, I've been getting a lot more help, but it's just, feels like walking on eggshells. She would have looked away, but Raistlin caught hold of her wrist, and, despite his weakness, held her so firmly she had found she could not break free of his death-like grip. That's so messed up, but that totally makes sense, because she would have been safest by meeting me. It totally, because I shared in the minds of, because there are, it's totally psychotic how evil that is. He had such information would cost you, because she was the first person chosen to be woken up to the 16th scented celebration, where there are phones and cameras and stuff. And it was supposed to wake up other people. That did endanger her, because too many people might think that she's the only person who knows something. That was really dumb of her not to meet me. It did endanger her. But I mean, I can't be carelessly telling people everywhere. I mean, I mean, in a lot of ways, I mean, I was hacked. People, I did like an experiment I wasn't expecting to work. And, you know, there were people already there that shouldn't have known. So I was trying to desperately make sure that more people knew than those people, so they wouldn't be taken advantage of. And I totally failed. I messed up everybody. Because they used me. They went, "Oh, cool, I'm gonna use this," and you know, who cares about this guy? Who cares about what any of those people want? I'm just gonna somehow, you know. I mean, don't they get that people, it disturbs their rest from doing what happened to me? From doing that to me? I mean, wouldn't they want to be in the light? I mean, it's our culture. It's like everybody's name. It's really serious. He said such information would cost you. Every man has his price, even he. Weird. Let me go over this part again, because it doesn't make that much sense. I need to really understand it. Okay, so he said, where is it then? Okay, so what is he actually talking about? Astinus? Where's what, though? Oh, where is the thing he wrote down? It's the letter I. It means justice, bringing justice. It's pretty sad that the mental health hospital killed my friend Michael. I was wanting to get a grant to change it. Or something like that. Because, I mean, they shouldn't be... It's just ridiculously embarrassing and poor, the way that they do it now. Shouldn't be like that. You should get people off of all the medication, and they should be doing, like, college and massage stuff, and teaching them healthy things, not drugging them up and, you know, pretty much like, caging them. That's totally messed up. It's like people are getting paid to legally neglect somebody. He had such information would cost you. Every man has his price, even he. I don't think there's absolutely anybody that thinks I'm crazy anymore, besides who my parents said that because they haven't been too scared. They're just so, they haven't really been there, but they have. But cost me. Wait, what is this? He said such information would cost you. Every man has his price, even he. Cost me, Raistlin repeated inaudibly, his eyes burning. Crysania tried unsuccessfully to free herself as his grasp tightened painfully. Weird. That's so not something I would do. So it makes so much sense that because it's trying to save us. So that would mean anybody else synchronizing as a villain. It would probably make a lot of sense, and maybe it would help them find the real bad guy or whatever. It's not Superman, because you're, trying to force him to agree with Crystal. I'm just going to keep him poor and just blah, 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 block him and make him feel like he's surviving a war and has to desperately write letters all day and night in order to win his right back. What is the cost? Raistlin demanded. He said you would know, Crysania gasped. He said you had promised it to him long ago. Raistlin loosened her wrist. Crysania sat back, away from him, rubbing her arm, avoiding Caramon's pitying gaze. Okay, let me go back here for a moment. I'm just trying to understand everything. Crysania tried unsuccessfully to free herself from his grasp, tightening painfully. So she can't? Why can't she? It's so simple. Just go, hey, I made a mistake with this guy. She obviously is being blocked in absolutely every way, even with PayPal. They even block her PayPal messages? That's seriously evil. What the hell? Are they doing that? Raistlin loosed her wrist. Crysania sat back, away from him, rubbing her arm. Was this all a result of Edward Caspell's album, Permission to Leave the Temple? Why did you have to take that out on me? Avoiding Caramon's pitying gaze. Abruptly, the big man rose to his feet and stalked away. Ignoring Crysania, Raistlin sank back into his frayed pillows, his face pale and drawn, his eyes suddenly dark and shadowed. Hello. I don't know what it means to be a friend on here. What does that mean? Crysania stood up and went to pour herself a glass of water, but her hand shook, so she slopped most of it on the desk and was forced to set the pitcher down. Coming up behind her, Caramon poured the water and handed her the glass, a grave expression on his face. Raising the glass to her lips, Crysania was suddenly aware of Caramon's gaze going to her wrist. Looking down, she saw the marks of Raistlin's hand upon her flesh. Setting the glass back down upon the desk, Crysania quickly drew her robe over her injured arm. He doesn't mean to hurt me, she said softly in answer to Caramon's stern, unspoken glare. His pain makes me impatient. What is our suffering compared to his? Surely you of all people must understand that. He is so caught up in his greater vision that he doesn't know when he hurts others. That's because they haven't been sharing with me. All you have to do is let me know. Excuse me. When you do something like use a drug, that hurts me. That makes me worried. That makes me concerned. Do you need help? It's not okay to be doing this. This bullshit, trying to come up with excuses and blocking me and stuff like that. I mean, who's this guy here? Is he even really from... What do you say he was from? He's just telling me twice, okay. Argentina. Okay. No, somebody's from Argentina. So, just giving somebody an excuse to block me or kill me and take my stuff. Is that what you're going for? You're just, trying to get that? That's, why don't you just say, hey, it looks like you need a hand. I could lend you a hand. Look, that girl over there has been hurt. Her soul has been totally crippled because of what's gone on with you. You were having dreams of what? And you proved it? And people are possibly capable of doing what? They tried to do what? I mean, it's incredible how evil that is. He doesn't mean to hurt me, she said softly, in answer to Caramon's stern, unspoken glare. His pain makes him impatient. What is our suffering compared to his? Well, what makes me impatient right now is these other women. I want to choose one of them. But I've been dreaming about a wife and children with somebody else. And because of my ex-girlfriends coming to me before I was with them, it feels like it might be a waste to go with somebody else. I had a dream of the air kissing me on the chest, and I was supposed to reach her and run to her. I was supposed to reach her and run to her, and ignore everybody in between us. And that was the day that I discovered Fort Girl's cat. Turning away, she walked back to where Raistlin lay, staring unseeing into the fire. Oh, he knows, all right, Caramon muttered to himself. I'm just beginning to realize he's known all along. And then what? People are trying to convince her Mormon church, the right side, that I'm dead, executed because they're too dumb to figure out the origins of thought or how I'm sorry, I'm upset right now. Of course I'm upset. It's so messed up what they did to me. It is. It is messed up. That does make a lot of sense. And you know what's funny? The holy day for the Mormons is tomorrow. The holy day for them. It's a holy day and it represents changing their church. Is that because I'm finally gonna fucking get help? Because I wouldn't want to be a member of some human trafficking network trying to look for excuses to, stupid. It's like that guy's name Jarbo on Twitch. What's his name? It's like a warning. Somebody's measuring somebody's worth. Somebody's caring. Is it a jarhead? He's checking out my girlfriend, and he's gonna cut me off, coming up with excuses, call me a zero, and take her. And she's not even gonna know that he was totally illegally cut off because he put on eyeliner. or some bullshit like that would be possibly the real difference. And she wanted it. And he got pissed off and jealous. And used his, special benefits. You're not supposed to do that. That's totally messed up. Anyways. Okay, well, doesn't this girl matter at all to other Americans? The names of everybody have been trying to help me. The artwork, it's very obvious. It's very obvious that it's very obvious that it's disturbed the rest of the dead, They're like, oh my gosh, it's messed up. This guy did so much helpful stuff for our country. And it would have totally fixed a lot of problems if he was helped already. But they're just trying to prove that they were correct instead and hold him back and try to cover up what they're doing while wanting to come up with a way to loot him. That's what it appears. And that's what the jury's gonna see. But I know my place is suing Facebook, but if I was her, I would probably be suing somebody else. Because of what they did to us. That was messed up. I don't really know. But I'm going to find out more tomorrow.